Hello and welcome to my review of Star Wars Dark Force Rising. This is a Legends book about Thrawn. This is in the second book of the Thrawn trilogy, but before I get into the review, I have to say a spoiler alert for this book, so consider yourselves warned on all things spoilers. Second thing is, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this and want to see more videos like this in the future. With that being said, let's get into it. So, Dark Force Rising. This one came out in 1992, written by the guy Timothy Zahn, who just wrote the new Thrawn book, and this one is really good in my opinion. I think that this guy, Timothy Zahn, really knows how to write Star Wars, and I think, he really gets our main characters of Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, and Lando even in this. Evan, and you get some Mon Mothma and a little bit of Akbar in there. He just knows Star Wars, and he obviously knows Thrawn because he is the creator of Thrawn, and so Thrawn just does amazing. He's an amazing character in this book. The continuation from the last book to this book is so seamless. It doesn't take place like immediately after the last book ends, but it takes place, somewhere in the, not there's not a lot of time in between these two books. The first one, Heir to the Empire, and this one, Dark Force Rising. But I think that this book does a great job. Like, there are so many things for this book being in 1992. You hear talk of the Clone Wars. You hear talk of a little bit of Vader's backstory with how Mara Jade at one point in the book says Darth Vader's his right hand was cut off by the Emperor after the loss of the first Death Star and his failure in that battle. And it was like, yeah, that's not canon anymore, but that's a great thought, Like Timothy Zahn, in this book, there is a lot of talk about, things that happened before. And with Jorah Sabayoth, the master that Thrawn, or the clone of the Jedi Master that Thrawn had found, who became a Dark Jedi, he gives some great insight into the pre-Clone Wars and Order 66. He talks about how the Jedi were taken out, and that it wasn't just the Empire and the Emperor who did that. He gives a great monologue in one point of the book where he's like, the whole galaxy just allowed this to happen. They hated us. And it was a great thing because when you think about it, the galaxy did just allow this to happen. In the prequels, like, as much as I don't like the prequels, the prequels take this, and this came out before the prequels, and what happened where Jorah Sabayoth just, it was very good. And I thought that, the prequels took the information that was in this book and put it on screen to where in episode 3, the galaxy just allows the Jedi to be taken out. And this book does a very good job of giving you backstory to the galaxy from, stories from before the events of episode 4. Now you got to remember, this was written in 1992 and released in 1992, so you didn't have the prequels. So it did a great job of filling in some of the spots with great story and great reasons for why the Jedi were, all wiped out, because you never really got that before episode 3, really. And it does great fill in to where it fills in some of the gaps and some of the things that everybody had talked about and wondered about from before, from in chronologically before episode 4. Let's talk about some of the events in this book. Thrawn is kind of licking his wounds from the last the ending of Heir to the Empire, where he loses a battle. And he's kind of off doing his own thing. And Luke is still trying to figure out, Luke, Leia, Han, and Lando, and Chewie, they're all trying to figure out what's going on, because Akbar, at the very end of Heir to the Empire, we get that Akbar is imprisoned. And there's this Senator Phalia, who's trying to take over Akbar's position. He's pretty much he's using any and all ways to take out Akbar and put himself into that position of leadership over the military of the New Republic. And so for the most part, you have, your main cast of heroes. They're trying to get dirt on Senator Failure pretty much, because they figured out that Thrawn is getting information from, very top secret meetings that are happening inside of the New Republic. And so they're trying to get dirt on Failure, number one, and they're trying to figure out the spy that Thrawn has in the New Republic. And so that's their mission, and it's pretty much Han and Lando. That's what they do. They're trying to figure this out. Leia and Chewie go off with the Nogri people. Now, in Heir to the Empire, Leia made a deal with one of the Nogri people, because the Nogri, they had assassins, and the assassins were trying to take out, they were actually trying to capture Leia, because Thrawn and Master Sabayoth wanted the children that Leia was carrying. And so Leia made a deal with them and said, hey, I'll come to your place and I'll help you out, because the Nogri people are a very loyal people, and their first master was Darth Vader. And so pretty much for the whole of Leia's story in this book, you have these Nogri people calling her Lady Vader, and it's very like, wow, that is awesome. Yet to her, it's not quite an insult. It's kind of like she cringes every time she hears it, because she definitely does not want to be involved. She does not want to be linked to that horrible, the horrible person that was Darth Vader. But it's a great thing. Luke goes off and he finds Master Sabayoth, and for a good portion of the book, he's with Master Sabayoth, and Master Sabayoth is doing like dark things, like things that have to do with the dark side, and Luke is like, I don't think that's right. And what happens is Talon Card, one of the smugglers, the smuggler that was, the main one from Heir to the Empire, in this one we find out that he knows the location of what is called the Dark Force, and this is a 200 dreadnought ships from the time before the Clone Wars. I guess you would call it the Old Republic. And he knows the location of these 200 dreadnoughts, and that information becomes known to people like Thrawn and Han and Lando and Leia, and it's pretty much a race between Thrawn and the Empire to find the location, or to get the location of these dreadnoughts and get them. It's a race between the Empire and the New Republic, where you have people trying to find Card, and at one point Talon Card gets captured by the Empire, by Thrawn himself, and Mara Jade escapes and she finds Luke. And it was great, because in all of Heir to the Empire, we get a sense that Mara Jade really hates Luke because of what he did. He kind of ruined her life back in the events of episode 6, where when he takes out the Emperor, Mara Jade was the hand of the Emperor, and that just means that he took out her boss, and that meant that she had no more job, and that kind of uprooted her whole life, kind of sent her in a downward spiral, and she hates Luke for the most part. And when she has the realization that she needs Luke Skywalker, the only Jedi that's out there, to help her get Talon Card back, to help her escape, or to help go and rescue Talon Card from the Empire, she puts that aside. She puts her hatred aside for him, and they work together, and it's actually it's pretty good in my opinion. Something that this book does to me, which is really great, is that you have all of your main cast of characters from, Han, Luke, Leia, Lando, and Chewie. You have them all interacting with each other, and it's really cool, because literally for all of this book, except for like a few scenes, Han is not with Chewie. And that's something that's very cool because in the movies we never saw that. We never saw Han without Chewie. And in this one, you get Han with Lando, and they go off together, and then Chewie and Leia, they go off together in their own thing. And so, which something that's really cool about this book is you have different pairing ups of different characters, which I very much enjoyed that you had. It was a look to things. You had Han and Lando, and they were doing their cool, be smugglers, be really smart, be really street smart kind of guys, and you had their reactions. And then you had Leia doing her diplomatic stuff with the Nogri people, and Chewie was literally her muscle. And it was really cool to see to get a different look at all of our characters and interacting with different characters. Like Luke with Sabayoth was one of the cooler parts, is because Sabayoth is doing some dark side stuff, and Luke was like, nah, I don't think this should work. And I think that this book does a very good job of giving us all of our main characters and letting them all interact with different main characters. Usually we wouldn't see something like Leia and Chewie just by themselves together, or Han and Lando so they can reminisce about the old times, or they can, that's a smuggling thing. I know how to do this. I know how to rip you off in a way. And it's a great book to show you interactions between characters in different situations. This book to me ends in a really awesome way, and it ends with Thrawn and the Empire getting almost all of the dreadnoughts, 185 of the dreadnoughts, and getting away with them. And it ends with such a cool thing because back in 1992, we didn't know about the Clone Wars, and it ends with Luke and Han finding out that the Empire is, using clones now. And it's a really cool thing to see. It's like, oh my goodness, because all throughout the book, it was like, even if the Empire gets the dreadnoughts, they're not going to be able to use them because they don't have enough men, and they don't have enough people to actually run the dreadnoughts. But now at the end of the book, you find out that they got enough because they're using clones, and then they can, the advanced aging process of cloning, you can get a full army. You can get the dreadnoughts fully fitted out with people to run it in like months rather than years. And it's like it's a very great way to end your book with saying, look, trouble is coming, and it's coming fast, while also, it wrapped up the story of this book, Dark Force Rising. It wrapped it up very well. I felt like we got a great ending, as far as you had a very awesome space battle between, Rogue Squadron and Yellow Squadron, and a Star Destroyer. You had a great space battle. You also had interior battles inside one of the dreadnoughts, where you had Luke, Han, and Lando. They were fighting off, and with Chewie, and they were fighting off stormtroopers. Those stormtroopers were coming in to try to take that dreadnought away from them, and they fought it off. And there's one part, oh, it's so cool. There's one part where Luke just tells the other three guys, look, I got this, and tells him to run it, like, go away. And then Luke just starts going ham with the lightsaber, and he throws the lightsaber and starts like taking out a bunch of stormtroopers. There's a great battle at the end of this book, which totally caps off a great book. And I think that this book does an amazing job of setting up for your conflict, for your third act, if you will, in the third book of this Thrawn trilogy, with the Empire having a bunch of dreadnoughts, and the New Republic's gonna have to do something about that. And it's a great way to end the book while also setting up for another story. But still, it's not the second book. This Dark Force Rising, this book is not a setup book, which is great. My verdict on this book is going to be a must read. In my opinion, if you are a Star Wars fan and you have read, all the canon books that you want to read, and you want to go back and have some great dynamics and some great characters. Usually, that's the thing. In all of the other canon books, we have not gotten all of our main cast of characters together and interacting if you want all of your main cast of characters interacting with each other again and having a great villain in Thrawn, you should definitely find this book and read it or listen to it, because it is a great book. I think you should pick up this trilogy. I haven't read the third book in the Thrawn trilogy, but you should definitely pick up this trilogy, because I'm pretty sure this third one's going to be pretty awesome. And this second book does a great job of, continuing the story, wrapping up the story that it is telling, while also setting up for the next book. And I think this is a must read, because you have all of your characters that you know and love interacting with each other, and a great villain, and a great continuation of the Star Wars story. There you go. That is my review of Star Wars Dark Force Rising, the Legends book, the second book in the Thrawn trilogy of the Legends books by Timothy Zahn. But that's my review. I want to know what you think. I want to have a great discussion with some of you, if not all of you, in the comment section down below on this incredible book and this incredible trilogy so far. And so yeah, tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Tell me some of the things that you would like for them to take from this book and put it into canon and make it canon. Tell me your thoughts on that. And like I said, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I usually do a Star Wars conversational video every Sunday. And so yeah, subscribe if you want to see those in the future, and like this video if you really enjoyed it, and thank you for watching this video.